let's try and understand the yield keyword in C#. So what yield does is it allows the method to return the value one at a time without creating and maintaining a separate collection. So execution is paused between yield return calls and resumed when the next item is requested. It's really efficient if you've got large collections such as a list or a data stream. Let's have a look at this example. So here I have a function. This function is IEnumerable. It returns an int type. So what it's going to do is, very first time this function is called, it's going to say yield start, and it will say yield return 1. It's going to return the number 1 because that's the return type of this function to the calling function. So here, if we have a look at where it's being called, so here we have a for each loop, and get numbers with yield is being used. So the very first time it loops through, it will get this return 1, it will print this message, and then this code will execute over here. And then it will move over to the next item here and execute this line here, and then return 2. Afterwards, it's going to return back here and execute this line. And then it will continue to do this one at a time. But each time it encounters yield return 1, it will return the control back over here, execute wherever's in here, and then move on to the next item in the loop. So here, it will just call the function again. Whereas if you don't use the yield keyword, so here the same function, but without using yield, what you have to do is you have to store the item in a list. So here we're just creating a new list, adding the number 1, doing a right line. So this is after 1 is added, after 2 is added, and then this is the end. And then you return the results here. So here you can see the result is being returned as the last statement, but here you're able to retain the results here and still get the function to execute back when it encounters the next item in the for each. So if I were to run this code, and as you can see, so here what we're doing is, if we look at the function, so we've got yield start, so yield start is kicked off, and then it's saying received 1. So that received 1 is coming from when the function is called. So here received wherever the number is that we get back from the function. So that's that variable over here. And then you can see it's now going back to the function here and calling this line. So this line is being printed and we get yield after 1, and then we get received 2. So here the function is saying received 2. So we're back in here. And once this is processed, it'll call the function again. It remembers where it left off, and then this gets called over here. And then it continues to produce numbers right until the end where we have yield end. Now in terms of without yield, you can see what it's doing. It's yield start, after 1, after 2, and end. But all the received statements here are printed right at the end because the return statement here is right at the end. Now, if you put return statement in the middle somewhere, your function will basically end. So if you put, for example, return statement here, your function will end, and these lines would never get executed. So that's why you get the code here, unreachable code detected here. So here, the numbers without yield is code. It's basically doing the same thing, calling a function, but the function is processing everything before it returns the control back to this for each loop, and then the for each loop get processed, and that's why you get the statement receive 1, receive 2, receive 3 printed consecutively.